Breach in 5, 4, 3.
What's up, guys? I'm Uncle Freedom, coming to you on another glorious and well-deserved day off, and we're going to keep deep diving down the Minutemen layout series, and we're going to talk about defining your MMR, or your Minutemen Marksmanship Rifle, your DMR, your Designated Marksman's Rifle, not your sniper weapon system, which we will cover in another video. That'll be fun, too. If you're unfamiliar with what we're doing, leave a link up here that'll go to the beginning of this series where we started talking about the Minutemen layout, all of the stuff we were going to cover and talk about. If you didn't miss the video that came out, you didn't see the video that came out before this one, where I actually kind of go over in deep dive what the designated marksman or the Minutemen marksman's role would be. There's a lot going on in the middle of that. So fun for everybody. Always a good time. If you are looking to get in touch with me, it's at Uncle Freedom 213 on Facebook or Instagram, or Uncle Freedom 213 at Outlook.com. If you want to support the channel, take a look in the description box below. That will have a link down there that'll take you to the Linktree account, where all of the affiliates of the channel exist. People like Warren, Dark Angel Medical, Gun Mag Warehouse. Lots of great people over there. We're adding people all the time. Like Bog just came on board. That's going to be great. I've gotten a lot of questions about these hoodies. This is the Whoopee hoodie from Zero Foxtrot. This one is awesome. It's actually reversible, and the inside is DNC, olive drab outside. You see the DNC inside of the hood here. Fun times for all involved. So we're going to kind of treat this the way we treated the Minutemen's main battle rifle, and we're going to define what your Minutemen marksmanship rifle should be. I did a video just like this on the main battle rifle. You will notice some very marked differences between this video and that one. So first off, Minutemen Marksmanship Rifle. What is it? Well, it is a gas-operated recoil cycled magazine-fed rifle, semi-automatic rifle, equipped with an improved optics package, and the rifle should be adequately accurate for the mission of the Minutemen Designated Marksman. Now, we covered in another video talking about the initial rifle, where we should be capable of a minimum of, or a maximum allowance of 3 MOA, which means a 3-inch target at 100 yards or a 15-inch target at 500 yards. That is not the capability we are going to look at for the Minutemen's Marksman Rifle. So, what is meant by the optics package that I talk about? So I know, and I can do this too, I can shoot a target at 500 yards, like is what's required of the Minutemen main battle rifle, with a red dot. However, can you PID, or positive identification, a target at 500 yards with a red dot? The answer to that is no. I don't care how good your eyesight is. It's not how that works, right? Magnification serves a real role when we start talking about this. So when we talk about magnification, a general rule of thumb that we want to keep in our head when we talk about a marksman's rifle would be 1x per 100 yards with an additional 2x for positive identification. So your reticle with inside of the optics should allow the shooter the capability to range and engage targets at different distances without dialing your turrets. Dialing your turrets is something that takes time. And if I am changing engagement distances between target to target, dialing back and forth takes time. And by the time I dial it in, it may no longer be the right solution for what I'm shooting at. However, having a reticle that allows me to hold and engage at different distances or measure and range is incredibly important without touching the turrets. So that's a big difference between that and like a sniper weapons system. The rifle should also employ a lower power 1x. If your optic does not go to 1x, and actually even if it does go to 1x, if you're running like a Razor 1 to 10, I will tell you, you should still have a separate 1x optic aiming system that would allow you to have rapid engagement at close quarter distances Remember, you have to be a functional member of your squad's fire team until you become the designated marksman, right? Like until you go to do the job of a designated marksman, you have to be a functional member of your firing team. So yes, I know you can use the bend and aiming concepts with a 4-power ACOG where you look through both eyes. I'm well aware I've done that before too, but I am telling you it is not a substitute for having a dedicated 1-powered micro red dot or offset red dot that will allow you to make fast, accurate shots inside of a room. Just how it works. You saw this with the ACOG where they had the top-mounted RMR. You see it a lot now with the offset. Warren specifically makes a scope mount with a pick rail section at the rear of the scope, allowing you to mount a micro red dot. So when you count over at 45, you have cheek weld and a sight picture through this mini red dot. You will also see them mounted at 12 o'clock. I have a 10-powered optic that's got an RMR mounted at 12 o'clock. That is useful. Pick the one you work best with. Just keep in mind that sometimes having stuff mounted above your optic is not going to help you if I tell you you need to shoot through like a spider hole or a weird position. Food for thought. But you should absolutely have a separate dedicated CQB optic mounted on that rifle. That is 100% should happen. So if we follow that rule of thumb, a 10x optic would be what? I'm waiting like I can hear you. A 10x optic would be suitable for an 800-yard capability. That would mean 1x per 100 yards with 2x on top of it for PID. 4-power is great, but you are going to play hell pitting something at 700 or 800 yards with a 4-powered ACOG. Just 100% that's going to happen. And if I throw into things, and I throw things out to you, which is like weird lighting, right? We'll get into this more when we talk about the ancillary equipment around the DMR roll and the rifle, but I'll give you this part. If I am shooting from a darkened location and you are standing under a low-pressure sodium orange crappy light, if you don't know what I'm talking about, low light stuff is cool. If you are standing under that and I don't have really good contrast and I have a lower magnification value with bad light transfer, I might not be able to ID you. We're not just talking about pitting a gun or something like that. What if I told you that your target of engagement was wearing a specific thing, right? Or his eyebrows were this, or he had a nose ring, and that was how we knew him. He's the only guy. Or he had a tattoo of like a goat on his neck, like Jean-Claude Van Damme in The Expendables, right? You have to be able to ID that stuff. So 1x per 100 yards, 2x on top of it as your PID. That is just a generalization. I will tell you, like one of my DMR rifles has a 4-16 on it, but I've got an offset red dot, right? More power for me. I don't mind it at all because my immediate engagement optic is a little micro red dot and not that scope. So how accurate does your Minutemen Marksman Rifle need to be? Remember, we talked about this before. So our general purpose Minutemen's main battle rifle should be 3 MOA or less. Remember, 3 inches at 100 yards, 15 inches at 500 yards. We're not typically going to be engaging at 500 yards with your red dot, but knowing that capability exists for you, I can pretty much count on it. At 300 yards, you're going to hit what you're aiming at. However, that is no longer the case when we start talking about a marksman's rifle. We have discussed the fact that the Minutemen Marksman Rifle should be an accurized version of a rifle with an enhanced optic suite, allowing you to make better shots with better accuracy. Remember, optics help you see better. If your rifle is not capable of it, I don't care how good your optics are, you're just going to see how you missed. Okay? Your rifle's got to be capable of it. And what we're looking at here is a maximum allowance of 2 MOA accuracy at 100 yards. Maximum. Why do I say 2 MOA at 100 yards? Well, 2 MOA accuracy at 100 yards with good ammo. Ammo is going to be ammo is an even bigger consideration now when we're talking about a marksman rifle. 2 inches is going to be a 16-inch target at 800 yards. Torso across 16 inches at 800 yards, right? In ideal conditions, like that's the theory. We are talking about a first-round impact in theory, at 800 yards because of the capability of the accuracy, of mechanical accuracy of the rifle. The reality of this, though, is that the rifle, ammo, optic, and most importantly, shooter combination. Remember, if you're a 3 MOA shooter and you have a 1 MOA gun, what MOA is your gun? It's 3 MOA because you suck at shooting, right? We can agree to that. That's how it works. But the capability, in reality, what you should be looking for of your rifle, your optic, your ammo, and most importantly, the shooter should be capable of 1 MOA in ideal conditions at known distances. That would mean a first round impact in ideal conditions at known distances on an 8-inch target at 800 yards. An 8-inch target is roughly the size of the melon. Making sense? I don't just do things arbitrarily, guys. Like, I have a reason behind what I'm putting out. Now, when we talk about a DMR versus like, this, a DMR can in fact flex into the role of a sniper weapon system. It can do it, but you will almost never see a sniper weapon system that can be flexed into the DMR role. And the reason that exists, right? You can't have one gun that does it all. And this is why. So having a sniper weapons platform, we'll say that one's in 6.5, right? And I'm running like a 4-24 optic. There is nothing I'm going to do to convert that 20-inch beast mode, heavy barrel gigantor of a rifle and make it a CQB firearm. It's not going to happen. However, I could take a DMR, rifle that can be used in CQB distances and rotating that out to fill into some sniper engagement zones. I could totally do that, but you're not going to do it the other way around. So, next thing we're going to have to talk about when we talk about your DMR is going to be some of the barrel considerations that you're going to have to think about for a designated marksman rifle. Can a 12.5 or a 14.5 be a DMR because it groups really good at 300 yards? No. Sorry, it's going to hurt somebody's feelings. A 14.5 gun, yes, I'm aware. Oh, I shoot at the range and I can get first round impacts with my 14.5. That's fantastic. However, the terminal ballistic requirements of a projectile to ding a piece of steel or poke a hole in a piece of paper are far different from stopping a threat. Food for thought, true facts. That's reality, man. The mission will always drive the gear. The Army did, in fact, field a 16-inch DMR, and they currently do. Remember, the M110A1, right? 16-inch 308 gun with a 1-6 optic, right? That's the new Army DMR. However, back in the GWAT days, we also fielded something known as the Mark 12 Mod H. The Mark 12 Mod H was a Douglas 16-inch barreled Mark 12 with a collapsible stock. It was primarily sought out as something that could be more compact, easily deployed from vehicles, but still was accurized to the point where they could make real hits with it when they needed to. That happened. Personally, though, for me, we're talking about my stuff. I want an 18 to a 20-inch gun, right? I just do, because as we talked about in the Minutemen Rifle series with ammo, and we'll go over this really in depth. I promise. Like, long distance ballistic nerds, rejoice. Your velocity is directly tied to how your ballistic coefficient works. It is directly tied to how long that round spins in the wind. It will dictate your transonic barrier. It dictates the drop, the wind drift, everything. And if I can get more oomph on my gun and my projectile by having a longer barrel, because I got news for you, Marines did CQB with M16A2s. It can be with fixed stocks. Like, it can be done, okay? Don't let people tell you it can't be done. It can absolutely be done. The most important part of that system is going to be your optic. You can absolutely do CQ. Is it optimized for CQB? Absolutely not. But if I was to say my job is going to be to clear rooms, but I'm going to spend most of my time in that designated marksman's role, I'm going to elect to have something optimized for what I really need to accomplish and not what makes this part easier. I'm not going to decrease my effectiveness as a marksman to make the room clearing part easier, right? So that's it. I want an 18 or a 20-inch gun. I want an 18 or 20-inch barrel because I know I'm going to get higher velocities when I'm pushing a more ballistically efficient projectile, right? If I am shooting 55 grain full metal jacket, yes, a 20-inch barrel is going to make it go faster. However, that's not as important to me as if I'm shooting something like Mark 262. I don't want to start my Mark 262 off out of a 14.5 gun doing 2,300 feet per second. I would much rather shoot that out of an 18 or 20-inch barrel and have it come out doing 2,750 to 2,820, right? That's a higher starting point. We can all agree that faster is better with an AR. So I'm going to elect an 18 to 20-inch barrel. That is just me, and that is my general practice and everything I've seen in my life. There is very little substitute for an 18 to 20-inch barrel in a DMR that is in 5.56. Just how that is. And really in anything, even a 20-inch 308, right? Because I'm going to have higher velocities. Higher velocities are good. It also is going to be a better powder burn, making the system softer shooting, easier to suppress, less visible signal. Oh God, there's so much stuff that we go off of when we talk about having a longer barrel. Again, if you are the DMR guy, well, you should probably optimize your stuff for that DMR role because it is so specific, but still keep the capability with an offset red dot and your ability to over shoulder a rifle and clear buildings with it. It can be done. So you don't have to have a 12.5 gun to clear a building. It's just that's not reality, man. Marines did that crap on full tilt. Them devil dogs were jacking people up with 20-inch guns. Love my Marines. Crayons are over there, guys. So also when I talk about my barrel, I am going to elect to have a heavier contour. A heavier contoured barrel is going to give me more consistency as the firing strings get higher. Let's say, for example, you may say you don't need it, but let me just indulge me, if you will. If I were to enter and clear a building and maybe I fire 25 or 30 rounds pretty rapidly to clear that building, well, the rest of the squad moved on past it. I have sprinted up to the roof of this building to get a vantage point, and now I am suddenly forced to make highly accurate shots at, say, 400 yards. If my barrel has heat stringing issues because it is a thinner contour and it doesn't deal with heat as well, now what if I miss? What if it hurts somebody? These are things we have to look at. For me, always going to err on a heavier contour barrel. Heavier, stiffer barrels are also going to suffer less from barrel whip and harmonic stuff, harmonic problems that you can see. It just happens. All barrels move around when you shoot them, but I can tell you the heavier and thicker they are, the less they do it. There is a reason all sniper weapons platforms have heavy-ass barrels. So, again, when we talk about this system, we're going to also have to look at the fact that we are going to have an incredibly firm grasp of that magical thing known as external ballistics. Not necessarily terminal ballistics, but external ballistics. I.e., what is my bullet doing at a particular point in flight, wherever that point is? What is the bullet doing there? If that bullet is only going to, if I know for a fact that at 700 yards, my bullet is only going like 1,800 feet per second, might be something I want to keep in the back of my head. Okay? You got to have a grasp of your external ballistics. Where is your bullet in its flight path at any given point between you and whatever it is you're trying to hit? Because that is going to allow you to make more accurate shots. So when we start talking about the ammo in this, we're not going to go super deep into this. That's another video because that's my jam. But I'm going to 30,000 foot view this. We are only concerned with heavier bullets, period. That is another reason that longer barrels are great. We are only concerned with heavier projectiles. Mark 262s were the round designed to shoot with the Mark 12. Mark 12 was never designed to shoot with 55. Yes, we shot a lot of 55 and 62 green tip, but it wasn't designed that way. However, that heavier projectile did work, man. Same thing. We start looking at 308 platform or 7.62 by 51, 175 grain bullet is far better for our job and can be used up close than 150 grain full metal jacket. How it is. We are mostly concerned with heavier bullets in this thing. That is the world of the DMR. Heavier, more ballistically efficient bullets is what we're going to be talking about very heavily in the ammo considerations part of this. But as an overview for it, in the 5.56 223 round, we are looking 68 to 77 grain, 7.62, 168 to 180, 6 arc, 105 to 110. We are talking about the heaviest stuff I can get, even hand loaded into my crap. I want long, efficient, ballistically efficient bullets. And the longer barrel lets me push them faster. Make your decisions. So when we start talking about this is something that inevitably comes up. The 5.56 is ineffective at distance argument. I will tell you, there are a lot of bad guys that got put down at like 600 and 800 yards out of a Mark 12. Okay, that happened. That's real life. That's not some cookie cutter thing. That took place. It worked. So why is it okay, though, that I would say to use a round that is ballistically borderline at 600 and 700 yards? Why is that okay when a 308 or 7.62 by 51 would be so much more energy and more power downrange? Why is it okay that I say shooting a 70 grain GMX out of, or, you know, a 68 grain or 69 grain Match King, why is that okay out of this platform at 800 yards? What makes that okay? Well, here's the biggest one. In CQB, and at like 200 yards, whatever we're shooting at can really put effective rounds back on us. Would you agree? That would be the biggest fearful part. We need incapacitation. We need that shit to do its job from CQB distances to 200 yards, because we are in the envelope where even if they are like letting a la guide bullets, you can get got pretty quick. However, if I am now shooting at 700 yards, taking out something, and I have less drop, less wind drift, more accuracy, and it's maybe marginal on terminal ballistics at that distance, that dude can't shoot back at me. That is where this changes up a little bit. And I would also put it out this way. Something I've mentioned it a few times, the 7.62 by 51 turns cover into concealment sometimes out of a DMR's platform. Preferential for me, I would like to have two separate bullets that zeroed at roughly the same place. For example, for me, I can tell you that a 77 grain Sierra Match King zeros and effectively flies identical out of my DMR to the 70 grain GMX round or Barnes TTSX round out of the same rifle. What does that mean for me? That means that I have a hyper accurate, hyper ballistically efficient bullet that may not have suitable barrier penetration, but I also have the ability to switch magazines without messing with my optic and my dope to shoot an incredibly tough monolithic barrier, just screw barrier round through car windshields, glass, an ammo can, a piece of wood, a wall, whatever. I have the ability to throw something that is devastating at a longer distance that doesn't care about barriers with no modification or change to my zero, right? This is something you have to find out on your own. I can tell you that works in my rifle, but I can't promise you it'll work in yours. Food for thought. I would prefer to have two options, one for barriers, one for not barriers. And I had this argument with a guy the other day. He's like, well, you know, you need AP. You do not need armor piercing, okay? If you are in a DMR role, I want someone to explain to me why you think you need armor piercing ammunition. I like this one because people tell me, we've got armor on. Your job is a precision marksman. Shoot around it. Remember that whole thing of how capable you had to be? If you can pop an 8-inch target consistently at 800 yards, and you're going to tell me that because that dude had plates, you now need armor piercing? Shoot him in the junk and drop him. He can't walk now. Pelvic girdle shots are a thing. They work. It's nothing personal. It's a fight. If you have the accuracy, there's all kinds of stuff not covered by a 10 by 12 plate. Put a bullet there. In a hypothetical situation against your Roblox character. Trench grenade. That was good. I like that. Anyway, so there you go. You don't need AP. Shoot around the armor. You're supposed to be good at what you do if you're in this position. If you're not that good, different job. So then we talk about something very important to the rifle itself, and that is your muzzle device or suppressor. This is important in a CQB gun because if you shoot with a muzzle brake next to my head in a 10 by 10 room, I'm going to punch you. For lots of reasons. Mainly because I'm deaf. However, in this world, muzzle brakes aren't really good. Now, they do have a function in this world. Remember, you have to be able to self-spot, which means that if you can mitigate recoil out of your system in ordering you to keep glass on target to catch trace and see splash, that's effective and good. But I'm going to tell you, if you're using a brake, your brake needs to be acting as blast chambers and baffles inside of a suppressor. Period. End of discussion. If you are not running a can, you need to be running a flash hider. Because I'm telling you right now, laying prone on top of a dusty thing and you blasting off with a muzzle brake, they may not have seen your flash, but the giant lingering cloud of moon dust just told them where you were. If you're running a brake, it needs to be in a can. If you can't run a can, you don't have a can, run a flash hider. It will be fine. Use proper fundamentals and proper recoil control tactics as a DMR guy in position with a properly stabilized position, because this is how you mitigate recoil. We shot target crowned 308 guns all the time and spotted trace with them. It's possible. It's a 5.5 freaking 6, dude. You don't need a 3-chamber brake and a comp to run this damn thing. If you're going to run a brake, I agree, it does make it easier for you to stay on glass on target, but you need to put that brake inside of a freaking can. That's a gripe of mine, if you can't tell. So outside of that, that's a very important part of the rifle equation. And then kind of a really high view at some of the ancillary equipment that we're going to have to look at later on, and that is things like a chronograph. It is not a good to have, it is a you must have if you are a precision rifleman. I don't care. In fact, the Army issues a magneto speed out with the SAS. A Kestrel, because it tells you the wind where you are. But more importantly, if you have a really good Kestrel, it comes with ballistic software that you can now use in order for you to make first round impacts, cold bore stuff. Important. You need bipods. You would probably benefit from the use of an actual tripod. Bog. They're great. That's what I run. I love Bog death grips. They're awesome. They're expensive, but man, they're good. Having a rear bag, a trap bag, in case you are shooting from an augmented position where you are having to achieve stability some other way than laying down, right? Having a trap bag or something. We're going to show all of this. Coltac is my brand for that, 100%. I'll be glad to show you my Coltac bags. A rangefinder, yes, you can mill targets, and I agree that you should be able to mill targets through your optic using something like a Mill.Master, but I will also tell you a laser rangefinder is faster. Your notebook, because you need something to write notes, keep track of stuff, range cards, knowing your ranges to specific objects. If you're in a long-term LPOP position with the capability to make precision rifle shots, you need to have, and I will show you how to do this, designated ranges set up to certain things so that if something pops up in between this barrel and that bush, you pretty much know where it's at and you don't have to spend time figuring it out. Dope itself, keeping track of that. A level to make sure, because if you can't your gun, I promise you're going to miss, especially when we start talking about longer distances away. Binos and a spotting scope, they can be used interchangeably. Spotting scope has a much different rule. Binos are much better at reading wind, though. They 100% are than that, especially reading wind at distances, seeing the fact that the wind is spinning at 400 yards, even though it's not where you are. And then finally, a piece of equipment you need not necessarily operationally, but prior to the operation, is your data book. We will deep dive that in the video where I talk about ancillary equipment. I will show you mine. Storm Tacticals, who's makes it. They're awesome. I highly recommend those guys, not an affiliate, but they get my money because they make good stuff. So guys, there you go. Definition of what the Minutemen Marksman's Rifle should be. A rant in the middle of that because it's passion, by God, because I've seen some dumb crap in my life. Stay tuned. More to come. The next video after this will be ammo, and then we will go over the bolt-ons and ancillary equipment. Should be a good time for all. Hopefully this was eventful for you. Lots of cool stuff coming out still, and if you haven't seen it yet, the uncomfortable truths around Minutemen stuff is out. So, guys, I am Uncle Freedom. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And until next time, I'll see you later.